Something big is coming, dun dun dun. It really is. I have something that I feel is happening right now that is a huge shift. It's big, but I think something really much bigger is coming. This has been verified by my own students who have actually mentioned that they're feeling that. All independently, we've come up with this. I want to know if you're feeling it, and I want to share with you today what I think that is. Let's go. Welcome to Landria, Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through fears and live an amazing life. Did you think I wasn't going to have a hat today? Breaking through fear. My whole platform, everything I teach, is to break through fear. I want you to know something. Fear is prevalent on this planet, in the human species. It's part of our programming, and we can eliminate it. But I'm teaching you that you don't have to fight it and try to eliminate it until eventually it does dissolve. You just break through it. And what's going to happen is a lot of events are going to trigger a lot of fear for people. And so we want to work on that right now. And this is why I'm shooting this video. I feel that there's a big event coming. Now, I talked earlier, I talked in 2022 and early 2023 about the big events are going to be a series of happenings. You know, the banks, the finances, more illnesses, more, weather, cataclysmic events, with the planet itself. A lot of different things are going to be coming up to the surface. And so when you're boiling water and, you're boiling chicken, I don't eat chicken anymore, but, there's that icky stuff and you scoop it off, and that's what's happening right now. And you can't get that clear water until you start to shovel off all the garbage that we've created. We muddied up those waters, and this is what's happening. I feel that we're going into another tipping point. Now, one of my students, my Breakthrough Fear students, said she felt like something big was coming. I said, yes, I feel something big is coming. And I was asking her, do you mean for yourself personally, big events in your life, or do you mean like on a global basis? And she felt it was a global basis. Now I want to share something with you. A lot of my students have some very strong abilities, psychic abilities and otherwise, very intuitive. And I think the reason why, and this could be you if you choose, the reason why is because the less fear that you experience and the more you break through it, and they're learning how to break through this fear more and more, they go into this space of awakening and freeing up all the limitations, removing the limitations. What happens is you start to connect to that power that's all pure and loving, instead of creating the matrix illusion that there are problems. So I think what happens is that we go into really connecting to everything out here that is all expansive, and everything is always creating at all times, and so are you. So when you go into this space of allowing this to come in and you break through the fear, you get messages, you get inspiration, you get opportunities. And so what's happening is there's an accumulation of a great awakening. Our species is going into a higher frequency. We talked about the DNA shift. That's real, that's scientific, that we are now using this DNA that is in us, set for us to go ahead and use by choice. And so as we do this, we generate a higher frequency, and therefore we trigger events. A big event's coming, and I think it's a really good one. I think it's going to be the collapse of what I call the old guard. It's intolerance of it. In other words, we're not going to fight them anymore. The ones that are in density, that continue to want to control the material world, that's all that's going on. It's their choice. And so if they choose to be there, we don't have to go along with that, because the power lies with us. Yes, you and I hold the power, not a handful of people. It's what we use in our homes. It's who we associate with, what we do for a living. And this is why I'm teaching you to make the higher choices. I'm going to have some things in my description. You can go and start using things that are healthier. I'm going to talk more and more about that, because when you clean your body out, you're going to become an energetic, massively energetic, pure light being that's starting to connect and expand into that space. Now, when we go into this big event, what that is part of the big event, is that we start to connect to powers. We want love, unconditional love. We desire it for others, and we have it for ourselves. that is going to be huge, because the more you let go of everything else that is dividing us, separating us, judging, and even one of my students, I don't know if you're watching this right now, but you are one of many, as I shared with you, that spiritual people who want others to be different, and that's still ego. So we're going to step up our game right now, because that big event is that we're going to take where we are now in our awakening, and we're going to take it up to the next notch. And that is a massively powerful. That means we have a chance. And it's going to be about 20 years. It's going to be in your lifetime, unless you're, well, if you're in your 80s, you could still experience this, right? You can live to be in your hundreds. And so we're going to see in our lifetime a massive change and cleanup in the powers that be, the energy that we use, the products and services that we choose to use. It's going to change, because when you're not using them, then there's no market for them. We're going to see the systems in the finances and everything. Medicine, everything that we're doing right now is going to shift into something much higher, pure, and it's not going to rely on the density and the toxins and the things that are happening now. So that means you see a big old shift happening. Well, instead of silencing the people that have been supporting that, you're going to hear more voices. All right. Now you get to be one of those voices. You can say, I no longer desire to live this way. I don't longer desire to be a part of gossip or controversy or conflict. I don't desire to believe all the things I'm hearing from maybe family and friends that are telling you you need to hate people or go into separation. There's been a lot of brainwashing, and that brainwashing has been happening with that sector of people who are very dense in ego. They have their own brainwashing going on to believe that that is how they should live, because they're in such great fear of losing that power in that material stuff, right? That's what's happening with they're the bullies. The bullies don't pick on, the big guys. Bullies pick on the little guy in the room, because they are so insecure, and so that shows that they're masterful, and they see the general public as that. All right. This is not to be condemned. Everyone has their individual choice. They are not to be criticized or judged, lest we be criticized or judged. The whole point is every single person is here to play out their role, and those people who are still not choosing, making the higher choices, the higher frequency choices, are our best teachers. And without them, we don't get tested. And so they will eventually change at some point too, and we don't need to say when that is or how. So you're going to see more things happening. Now, Mother Nature, this planet's evolving. She has her cycles too. In other words, she's going to come to some ending, not in our lifetime, in many, many, many years from now, hundreds of years from now. But the bottom line is that we're going to start to clean up our act here. Now, you have to buckle up, because this big event is going to transform everything, every way we've been living. It's not going to be excess and waste anymore. It's going to be simplicity and purity. You're going to have to make decisions about your body. Most of my students have gotten off of all kinds of medications, all of them, including some you would think that you couldn't possibly get off of, because when you go into a higher mental state and you start to take care of your body, you realize a lot of our problems are coming from the fact that we're just loading more garbage in. And so you want to clean your system out. You want to start making higher choices. You want to move away from conflict, separation, stop watching the negativity. And so know that you don't have to worry about your money, your food, or anything, because what will happen will happen. And so hoarding in that is a message of fear. All right, so once you stay away from it, you will always be taken care of. And I always say at the bottom line is, you know what? If I go out giving my last, bag of groceries to somebody else to help them, and that's how I leave here, I'm fine with that. That is a higher choice. So I don't want you to fear anything, and that's not what we're going to experience. But there are already starving people on this planet, millions of them. So how would that be different if it affected all of us? We will learn to be a community, and we'll start taking care of one another so that that doesn't happen. So I want you to start to go into community-mindedness. Stop worrying about your money and all the other things that you have. Start sharing things, giving away, simplifying your life, and start making the best, highest choices. And it starts with going out of fear, break through the fear, You guys know I have a course that I teach, and if you want to come on board, I will teach you how to break through it. I'll teach you, like I do all of my students, 5 stars, I will teach you how you can become an observer of this and know that this is only a short period of time in your eternal existence, that you are the everything out there. You're everything. You're connected. There's no separation. And so attention to oneness and not service to self is going to change your life completely. And so when you give to others, you will always have. It is really that simple. And I know it's tough because we have a tendency to want to, where should I put my money? What people have asked me, I'm like, did you listen to my videos? I really don't care. Nobody's going to have those answers. You can chase money all day long. At some point, we won't even need it. You will be taken care of always when you break through fear. So get ready. You're going to see another tipping point of things happening that are going to affect us, and other systems will have to come in place, which, by the way, already exist right now, have existed for decades, and will start to step in to replace the ones that have destroyed our planet, our bodies, and kept us in conflict. All right, so specifically, all I can tell you is every system with the old guard, let's see, my opinion, my definition of the old guard are the lower density beings that take care of themselves first, service to self. That's going to dissolve. The higher choice humans are going to stop living in fear against that, and they're going to start to create and expand their own communities and way of life instead of relying on the old guard to dictate how we live. And so this is not a rebellion of any kind. This is total peace, and you're going to go into a space where you realize they're not the enemy. They never have been. We have always been in charge. You're always in charge of your own thoughts, your own reality, and what you create. No one has control over that. And when you go into that space here, all of this changes out here. You're not responsible for changing that. You're responsible for changing this. And thus, if all of us do that, one light being at a time, raising the frequency of the planet. That's how it works. Just one person right here. Can I love that person anyways? Because they're not really the person. They're my teacher, showing that even Christ, and I said this to my student, I want you to remember this. Christ could have stopped everything that was going on. The man could walk on water. Why didn't he? Because unless he allowed that whole scenario to play out of murder, essentially murder, he wouldn't have been able to demonstrate the power of forgiveness and love in the worst of circumstances. So if he'd have stopped it all, then we wouldn't have had that demonstration. And this is what's going on now. I'm going to do a video right after this just about that subject, because maybe you can go into acceptance. So get ready. We have some big things. I think it's something beautiful and wonderful. As my student shared, she said, I think it's really good. I said, do you have a good feeling? She said, yes. So again, I trust my students because they are going into awakened states. Come join me if you want to participate in that. I have a step-by-step training that shows you how. I would love for you to be one of my students. It's worth it. You want to invest in yourself? Do this. It's a lifelong course because we have a lot of work to do, and you are privileged to be here on this planet at this time. It's not to fear. It's something to celebrate. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you, my friend. Namaste.